Alright guys, in the last video we made the skybox, and now we're going to make the terrain. Yeah, let's add some terrain. So right click in your hierarchy and select 3D object terrain. Alright. Now this terrain is a bit too big for us right now. We're planning to make a prototype of this 3D game that I'm envisioning in my head. So we don't need it so big. So go to inspector and go to the terrain settings and scroll down until you see terrain width. And there's also terrain length. And that will work for us now. So if I press play, you can test this out yourself. And everything's looking pretty nice. Alright, so I want to add a texture onto this terrain. So to do that, we have to go to paint terrain. Then for you, it will look like this. You want to click on here and click on paint texture. Now you want to add a terrain layer with a grass texture basically. So we can quickly go into a web browser and search up grass texture and go to images. I'm going to select something. Alright, this looks pretty good. You right click save image as and just name it grass texture and put it into my downloads. And then you want to do edit. Before you do that, you want to create you want to go to the file explorer and so right click import new asset, go to downloads, and then you want to import that grass texture into your scene. So right now it's taking a while for some reason. Alright, instead I'll just go to downloads and here's the grass texture, so put this into your scene. And here we go, here's our grass texture. So we can't just place it onto the terrain. We have to go into the terrain and add a terrain layer. So click on edit terrain layers and create a layer. And then get the grass texture. And this will be our grass texture layer. So name this grass texture layer. And if I press Q to exit the terrain and click on F, you can see there are not any differences. Like it looks like normal grass, but you can see the pattern that it's keep on repeating like this. And I'll fix this in a different video, but right now we're just making the prototype. So after you got your grass texture, we need to add actual grass and trees onto this terrain. Now I'm going to quickly show you how I did that in Maya software. I know most of you won't have the Maya software available, so in the description just download the link to the grass and the tree and just put that into your scene. So right now stick with me if you want to see how I did it in Maya, and it's actually really simple. So if I search up Maya software and I'll have to wait for it to load. Alright, so I got the Maya software, and you can't really do this in Blender because it's only available in Maya, but you can always make your own grass and trees in Blender. So, but we'll be not covering this because I'm making a prototype. So click on new if you do have the software. I'm just going to show you how I did it. So basically I went to Windows, and Maya has something called a content browser. And in the paint effects, it has a bunch of different grasses. So what I did, I basically chose the grass Bermuda, And now I just painted some grass into the scene, pressed Q, and now if I click here, I could select the grass and then modify, convert paint effects to polygons. And then these are two separate objects, so if I click 6 right here, this is what it looks like. And if I go here, you can see that it's a shader. The thing is, you can't export Maya shaders to Unity, and I could only use materials like Lambert, Phong, or Blinn and import it into Unity. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to select both of these objects. First, I'm going to delete the history, freeze transformations, and center the pivot. Then I'm going to mesh combine. And I'm going to do the same thing. And we don't need these two objects here, so I'm going to press delete. And after that, I'm going to add a material. So new Lambert material. And then give it a green color. Name this grass. And then file, export selection. Make sure it's a FBX. Save it to downloads. And now make sure embed media is checked so you export the texture, the Lambert texture. And I'm going to replace this file. And then I'm going to right click, import new asset, and bring this grass file into Unity. Alright, I'm going to quickly reload the scene because something's not working here. Alright, so I'm going to just bring in the grass right here. And here we have our grass textured. So if you put it into the hierarchy, you can tell it's way too small. To fix that, you want to go to model inside the prefab and change the scale. I changed it to 100. And now if I bring it in, it's the correct size. So now we can add this grass to the terrain. To do this, click on your terrain and click on Paint Trees, Edit Trees, Add Tree, and put in the grass. Now, if I click on Add, and I'll change the brush size to something like 1, it's working very well. I can also just do Mass Place and put in something like 100. Now you can tell it's kind of outside of the border. To fix this, hold Control and then just remove the edges of the plane. So remove the grass by placing your brush on the edges of the plane. You know what? I'm just going to leave it as it is. So mask place, and then here we go, we got ourselves some nice grass. So you can tell the grass moves, and if you want to control that, you want to right click here, free the object, and include a wind zone. So if I play my game, and then I increase this to something like 1, can't really tell the difference. Okay, alright, so now once the grass is complete, I'll show you how I made the tree. So I just hit this, Windows, content browser, and then I just went and got a tree from here. So if I go to trees, I tried finding a tree that only had one branch and like one tree inside the picture. So the tree I chose was the pine tree, and I literally just started drawing the pine tree. And now I did the same thing as with the grass. I clicked on modify, convert, paint effects to polygons. And now I then deleted the history. I also decided to add a new material to the leaves, a new Lambert. And I did the same thing with the bark. Alright, so what I did after was I ungrouped this, and then I did mesh combine, and then deleted the history again, and named this tree. I also removed this. So here we have our tree with Lambert materials. So yeah. And now if I export this, I'll tell you another problem I came across. So if I name this tree, scroll down here, make sure embed media is checked, export selection. Now if I brought this into Unity, and then I changed the scale to 200 to not make it small, and then I added it to my terrain paint trees, so edit trees, add trees, tree prefab like that, and then I added it. And now there's this error that pops up, but I didn't really mess around with that because I didn't notice any problems. So what I did was I changed the tree density to 100 and brush size to 1. So when I would paint it, it would just paint one tree, which is really nice. So a problem with this is it goes under here. So how did I fix that? Well, first of all, let me delete everything and clear the console, go back to Maya. I edited the pivot, so I held D and then V and then put it all the way down, and this is how I exported it. Then I brought it into Unity. and then I did it to my terrain. So tree. Oh, I forgot to change the size. So change the scale. Now it's a lot better. So if I run this game, let's see how it works. The tree is moving good. I'm able to walk around, but there's one problem. I'm going through the trees. So to fix this, all you have to do is go into the prefab. So if I change this into a prefab by bringing it into the hierarchy, and I could just delete this, and I put it inside the assets folder. I can go in here. Okay. So I put it in, and then I put it in the hierarchy. I rename this tree with box collider. And then I put it back in here. Original prefab. I deleted this. Now if I go in here, I can add a box collider. And I just go back and put it for my terrain. So add trees. Again, I forgot to change the scale. So this has to be 200. Tree with box collider. I put it in here. Add a box collider. And then I go into terrain and I add this tree in here. Now if I test it, the player can't go where the trees are anymore, which is really useful. So one more thing. So basically, wait a minute. So actually, that's just it. We made a small map in Unity already, and it is pretty high res. I can feel the lag. So in the next video, I'm thinking of adding a lava block that can kill the player. So that's the next video coming up, and I hope you stay tuned for that. Peace out.